There have been hundreds of videos made about Riker Webb, so I'm sure that many of you guys are familiar with his case by now. This slideshow first shows an image of Riker Webb, a 3-year-old before he went missing, an image of what Riker looked like after he was found, and a map showing the multiple miles that he traveled during his time in the Montana wilderness being missing. This missing persons case is a lot different than many other ones because there are a ton of conspiracy theories and people saying that the Riker Webb that was found and the one went missing aren't even the same person. However, in reality, they are. For 2 whole days, a 3-year-old survived in the Montana wilderness, but many people do believe that he was just out wandering when that's not really the case. Riker was found 2 miles away from his home, and when he was found, he was located in a small generator shed where he was seeking refuge. In Riker's own words, he said he went for a long walk and then got tired and lost. Riker Webb, of course, was very fortunate to survive this, especially considering Montana contains plentiful mountain lions and bear. So guys, whatever did end up happening to the 1-2 buckle my shoe guy? This TikTok slideshow that I was tagged in starts off with an image of the guy that created the 1-2 buckle my shoe meme. It then closes out with a crime scene investigation and some tape saying do not cross. Now I'm not too sure why this slideshow is trying to insinuate some sort of correlation here, because the original creator for this meme, Edmund X, is still alive. He recently posted 4 days ago. However, there is something a little bit weird about this original video that he created. Namely, people are claiming that when you reverse the audio for this song, he states "help me" a couple times. It certainly does sound like he's saying "help me," but to be honest, I think this is more of an accident, not actually a plea for help. A lot of people are taking this theory and running with it though, so let me know what you guys think in the comment. Accident or on purpose?
Photos with disturbing backstories.
Apologies in advance if you're watching this video at nighttime, but don't worry, it's probably just an urban legend. This slideshow starts off with an image of a Ronald McDonald statue, then a still frame from what looks to be a security camera of the same Ronald McDonald statue, and then a very bizarre out-of-context image of police guarding the statue. Now this legend starts in Mexico and talks of 2 friends that were out drinking late, and they decided they wanted to go get some food from McDonald's. When they got there, they sat on the bench, and one of the friends laid his head down on the Ronald McDonald statue's lap. The friend exclaimed to his other friend, "I'm so tired," but the statue was the one who replied when it looked down and said, "Me too." There are different variations of the story. Some people believe that the men died of shock from this, but others believe they walked away fine and McDonald's bribed them to keep their mouths shut. Some people also think the statue walks around at night and is alive. Of course, I think this is just an urban legend, but what do you guys think about this?
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you.
Alright guys, we're going to talk about it. Show of hands, how many people believe that we are surrounded by an ice wall and the earth is flat? Hopefully not very many of you guys, but this slideshow illustrates a point that many flat earthers believe. We're surrounded by an ice wall that the government won't let us pass. We can see multiple photos here, a break in the ice wall, and a model of this ice wall. First and foremost, debunking the ice wall, we've actually flown over the North and South Pole as early as 1926, courtesy of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. Additionally, all of these photos that people mistake for the ice wall are actually known as ice shelves, and they have to be attached to a landmass, aka Antarctica. Flat earthers themselves have even disproven this theory with this experiment. You have a camera 5 meters up, a person holding a light, 2 holes in the wall right here. If the earth is flat, you don't raise the light up to meet the camera lens, however, they had to raise it up because of the curve. It honestly blows my mind that people still believe in the flat earth theory, given there's so much contradicting evidence, but hey man, you do you. This is what patients looked like before and after they received something known as a lobotomy. I'm sure that many of you guys are familiar with the extremely controversial procedure known as a lobotomy. This took place back in the 40s and 50s, with the last one occurring in 1967. Now, just a quick brief history. The lobotomy was popularized by this guy right here, Dr. Walter Freeman, who essentially had no surgical background. He would travel around the country in what he referred to as the lobotomobile, giving patients lobotomies in very unsanitary environments. During this time, he would also take before and after photos, which was a means of marketing, but he would only make sure to take photos of patients that looked better after the procedure. So here we have the before photo, a patient with schizophrenia, and the after photo, and he refers to her as a nice household pet after the operation. And it wasn't only adults receiving this procedure as well. This 8-year-old right here was very violent and locked up in the basement before his procedure, and afterwards he was turned nice. As previously mentioned, the last lobotomy took place in 1967 after Walter Freeman took the life of this patient. Telling you guys right now, viewer discretion advised if you don't want to hear a disturbing story. This slideshow shows an image of a small island saying it's just an island, then an image of survivors being taken from this island, and a shot of what looked to be clothes on the bank of this island. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with this island, this is known as Utoya, and it was part of the 2011 Norway attacks. These attacks were perpetrated by the man seen in the photo behind me, Anders, who is an extremist, and he decided to act on his extreme ideology. These attacks took place in 2 locations, Oslo and the island of Utoya. In Oslo, he rigged up a car and detonated this, and while all this was occurring in Oslo, he traveled simultaneously to the small island of Utoya, which primarily had teenagers on it at the time, dressed as a police officer, and then opened fire on these people. When the dust settled, 77 people lost their lives. There are also a few movies that have this as their topic, so I would recommend watching that if you want to learn more. The photo of the man behind me with half a head has gone viral online multiple times. A lot of people think it's fake, but it's actually not. This slideshow shows multiple people who have survived the impossible, like the electric chair, or surviving a nuclear bomb, but the man behind me, Carlos Rodriguez, has also survived the impossible. Up until the age of 14, Carlos had a normal full head. However, when he turned 14, he ended up binging on certain substances, stole a car, and got into a car accident. He flew through the window and his head landed on the asphalt, causing very significant damage. In order for Carlos to survive this, doctors had to remove a very significant portion of his skull, as well as his brain, but surprisingly, this hasn't really impacted him too much. He's able to do anything that a normal person with a full brain can do, and the reason for this is probably because he was 14 when this accident happened. His brain was able to rewire itself. This is just one of the examples of how resilient humans can be, though this guy does consistently have run-ins with the law.
How do I meet strangest men? They always seem...
I know some of you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but unicorns actually did exist, kind of. Here we have a pretty interesting slideshow, starting off with an image of the mythical creature, the unicorn, and then this little graphic right here, of course not true, but shows how unicorns might come to be. But even though this graphic is completely untrue, there was actually a creature that's been extinct for tens of thousands of years known as the Siberian unicorn. And let me tell you what, the Siberian unicorn is a lot more badass than the mythical perfect version that we've made up. These guys went extinct around 39,000 years ago, and let me tell you what, they are massive. Almost the same size as a mammoth, but instead of having tusks here, they just have a massive horn on the top of their head. Now, fortunately, these guys, if they were still alive today, wouldn't be too much of a danger to humans because they were herbivores, not eating meat. You might also be wondering, how does such a large and powerful creature go extinct? And the answer to this is quite simple. The grass that they used to consume pretty much receded due to a change in climate.
Why they put nets up in malls.
Some of you might be very confused as to what these strings are doing here at this mall, but trust me, there's a very good reason. This video that I was tagged in went pretty viral because a lot of people didn't understand it. It says, going to the old mall, wow, then found these strings, we can see these nets strung up here, and we get another angle. And the entire reason that these are here are to catch people who may have accidentally fell or who purposely jumped off. This is something that these very tall multi-level malls have started doing lately. This one, for example, 2 people ended up jumping off. Then they finally decided to add these nets to catch people that did jump. And malls are not the only place that are doing this. Places that are infamous for jumpers like the Golden Gate Bridge, who have seen 2,000 people jump since its creation, have also started adding these nets. And these have started saving a lot of lives. It's obviously a good thing, physically impossible to jump from here to here. So if you see one of these, don't be too disturbed. They are serving a good purpose.